Dan Ryman for 10. Arnold Squash That Turbo Man. That Turbo Man.
Man, I love Jingle All the Way. It's so good.
Turbo Man.
I watch it every Christmas.
With Sinbad.
Yep.
What a crazy premise for a story. Like, they're literally like fights breaking out over this one toy.
Dude,
if you do remember back in the day for like Black Friday and shit.
I worked at Toys R Us for a Black Friday. It was wild, dude. It was fucking wild. And of course, this is pre-internet days. You know what I mean? Yes. So it's like there was no opportunity to get a toy anywhere. But it was. I've worked a lot of stuff in the retail world. I worked Black Friday at grocery stores. I've worked it at Walmart. There is nothing like working a fucking Black Friday at a Toys R Us back in the day. That shit was insane. And they treated us like the military that morning. You know, they're walking around, loss prevention's walking around, the managers walking around, post up at your station. Do not go to the back. You are not allowed to leave this area unless you are on break or on lunch. You man this area. You man this area. It was crazy, man. And then the floodgates fucking opened, and then everybody's running around. It was wild.
I never mind working because you got paid like double. You got overtime pay or holiday pay or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The shittiest part was having to come in 4 or 5 hours early to set the whole store up.
Yeah.
Like all the other displays and like all the product. That was the most annoying fucking part.
Yeah.
And then you have the people come in.
The people.
Bro, when I used to work at JCPenney, dude, the section of the store I hated the most was the South Pole jeans section, which were like, that's where all the black people shop. Bro, that shit would get torn every 30 minutes if someone shopped there. The place would just be a fucking wreck. It was like, what the fuck is the point of them coming holding this stuff up? It's just gonna end up on the floor again. I hated that so much.
I worked at Home Depot for several years. In the worst area. First of all, if you worked at Home Depot back then, I don't think now it is, but I don't know. Maybe it's the same way. But if you worked at Home Depot, like, people automatically think you know every single thing about home improvement, every aspect of it. And it got to the point where when people would ask me questions, I would just bullshit the answer so much to where they would buy whatever I told them to. Because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to tell you, but if you know, some of this plywood or, you know, this type of shingle for this type of weather, like it was crazy. But the worst part was when you walked by the plumbing section. And it was like, if you had an orange apron on, you were never getting out of the plumbing section because
People
it's
always looking for different PVC connections.
Yes.
Yeah.
Plumbing was, because I worked lumber for the most part. I was in the lumber department and I was one of the forklift drivers. But it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
I always think the most annoying place to go looking for something at a Lowe's or Home Depot is in like when you're doing a project or you fucked a screw up or something, and you have to go and find the matching one. So you got to match up the length, you got to match up the thread count or not the thread count, but you know what I mean. Essentially like the distance between the screws, like between the threads of the screw. That's the most annoying part, is having to find that shit and go through all these goddamn boxes with this weird stuff that nobody ever needs.
My favorite part was when is it Ron? What's his name? I Know More Than You, when he's in the Home Depot. Ron Swanson, is that his name?
Ron Swanson?
Yeah. It's so fun because I ran into contractors like that all the time. Or I'd walk up, hey, sir, how you doing? He would give me that look like,
I don't fucking need your help.
Fuck off, little bitch. I don't need your help. I know more than you. Get the fuck out of my face. Oh, it's so funny.
Ron Swanson is one of the greatest characters ever created on television.
It's the best feeling ever when somebody would do that to you, though. And it happened a lot, dude.
What is it? There's one episode where he goes to just this like gas station. It's called like Food and Stuff. He's like, it's where I go to get all my food and all of my stuff. And he just goes in there, like, gets meat, gets buns, gets a couple like a plunger, a toilet seat, like just random shit, right?
Yeah. Were you ever a bag boy at a grocery store?
No, thank God.
The funniest part about being a bag boy, I've told this story before, but there was always like a moment, because like once you become a bagger, you kind of get it down to a science, what to put what with where. Occasionally there was always a dad with his family, and like they would walk up, they'd put all the stuff on the register. He'd leave the wife there, have the kids right there at the buggy. He'd slowly kind of walk up, turn his hat back around backwards, kind of nudge me out of the way, go, "Let your old pop show you how it's done, kids." It's like the proudest moment of his life to show him how he could bag groceries so fast. It's like, it happened more than a few times. Like, I always called him professional bag boy dad. Like, they just because they were bag boys back in the day, so they just felt like, "I got this, kid," like, okay. And for me, if I go into a grocery store now, I still find myself like, fronting out the shelves sometimes. Just because we used to, it drives me fucking crazy. I hate it. I hate when the shelves aren't fronted out properly.
You mean when there's like bin shit pulled off and there's stuff in the back, so you pull the product from the back to the front?
Yeah, and turn the labels out correctly to where it looks good. Like, it drives me crazy when it's all messed up. I can't stand it.
I give no fucks about that. I walk by the South Pole jeans now. I don't give a fuck. I have no desire to fold other people's shit or bag other people's shit.
Yeah, facing product. Yeah, there was a lot of first it was called blocking, is what we called it when I first started. We call it blocking the store. But then then they changed it to where we couldn't pull everything forward. We had to block it down, almost like for inventory purposes, because it gave them a better idea of when they were ordering what they could order. Then it became front facing. Then it became facing product. So there's a lot of different terms that were used over the years. Target called it zoning. Yeah, I've heard it called zoning before too. That was never anything I called it though.